Welcome to My Nonprofit is Showing, where we discuss marketing and tools for fundraising for your organization. My name is Richard Council.
And my name is Madison Kautman.
We are marketing campaign managers for GiveSmart by Community Brands, the industry-leading solution in fundraising.
We wanted to start this podcast because we have a ton of information available on GiveSmart.com that we would love to expand on and share, but we also have marketing knowledge that we think would help you get the most out of your fundraising initiatives.
From guides, ideas, advice, and more, we want to give you all the tools you need to raise as much as you can. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome, and thanks for listening to My Nonprofit is Showing. My name is Madison Kautman.
My name is Richard Council.
And our topic for this episode is all about establishing your monthly fundraising plan and why you should have our annual fundraising calendar to knock your fundraising out of the park. So this is our second year that GiveSmart has published an annual fundraising calendar. It's an excellent resource for all nonprofits, schools, associations, and organizations out there. And it covers all 12 months of a new year. So we're going to start January 2023 and December 2023. And it's full of great tips and tricks and days of fundraising you may have never thought about, weeks of fundraising, monthly themes, different things like that that you can use to inspire your annual fundraising strategy. So we're going to dive into what our favorite fundraising months are. And Richard, I'm going to let you go first. What is your favorite fundraising month of the year?
So my favorite fundraising month, and it's very biased. And the reason why it's biased is because I don't have a ton of fundraising experience, even though I know the importance of it and I back it 100%. However, my favorite month, and it's very specific, and it's because it has a lot of great days in it. So it's July. Outside of the July awareness, which we have Juvenile Arthritis Awareness Month, we've got Park and Recreation Month, Sarcoma Awareness Month, Clean Beaches Week, and then Zookeepers Week. I've got some really fantastic days. So on the first, it's Joke Day, which I'm a new dad. So of course, the jokes are they got to keep coming. And
Always.
Then we've got, and of course, the most important day, which is Independence Day on July 4th. And then following that, we've got Chocolate Day on the 7th. And then we've got Mac and Cheese Day on the 14th. And then Ice Cream Day on the 16th. And then on the 21st, believe it or not, it's the longest day of the year, which is nuts. And then on the 30th, you've got International Day of Friendship. So July is jam-packed with all kinds of cool days outside of the overarching awareness for medical conditions and environment awareness, things like that. And I think the reason why is because you have so many opportunities to wrap your fundraising themes, I guess, around those specific days. I can think of a million different, not quite literally a million, but a bunch of different themes around Ice Cream Day. That's on a Sunday, and it doesn't even have to be just a day. You can just do Ice Cream Week, but it's a really fun way to I think revolve your fundraising themes around.
Yeah, and something I love too is that when we think sometimes about our annual fundraisers, at least for organizations that I've worked for in the past, is you have your spring fundraisers, you have your fall fundraisers, you have your annual galas, you have your auctions, your golf outings, and things like that. But there are really months and weeks, days of the year where you can take these ideas and make fundraisers around them. So it's during the summer, depending on where you are, anywhere in the US, you could have your Ice Cream Day, bring your donors in. You could even make Ice Cream Day a part of a summer scavenger hunt or a 5K, a run walk, an outdoor water balloon fight, whatever goes along with your mission that gets your donors involved. That would be so much fun. So, and that's something that could apply to anyone. So I love that. And also Joke Day. I mean, even if you just throw a funny post out there on social media or something, do something with Joke Day. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
And your dad jokes are always on par. So.
Oh yeah. See, and that's the thing. And of course, when I'm put on the spot, I can't even think of one. I was while you were saying that, and I was I got to think of a really good dad joke, and I can't even get one. But another fun day is on the 12th, which is Simplicity Day. So there's just not a lot of pressure, I think, in July. Now, yeah, it's still hot out in majority of places, which opens you up to a bunch of outdoor gamification type of things. I mean, you can pair these specific days with a lot of different outdoor themes or outdoor fundraising activities, and I think that's the reason why I like July the most. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, July, since there's so many good things happening during these
Hmm.
like very specific months, is like you're more than likely going to run into people that are more interested in giving, especially when you keep it fun. So like,
Yeah.
if you tied in with mac and cheese, which I'll be honest with you, I don't I don't know if I would go to a fundraiser that was, hey, we'll give you mac and cheese. I guess I'm still weary about that, but I'll be okay with ice cream, I think. Like,
Oh, mac and cheese, I'm in. Put whatever
well,
you want in it. Call it whatever you want. If there's mac and cheese, I'm there. I am
yeah,
there.
but I mean,
No
like, I think
hesitation.
if it was like a food truck thing, maybe. But like if it was just somebody like, hey man,
Yeah.
I got this mac and cheese, so here you go. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love too, like, there are so many different ways that you can add like fun food elements to your fundraisers that you can really get creative with stuff like this.
That's true.
And make it so much fun and make it engaging. And yeah, like throw some food trucks into your events. Like we have an organization that does an outdoor event where they like I think they show a movie or something like that, and then they have all of these food trucks come in and it's a really engaging night. And they're a humane society, so they encourage their donors and attendees to that event to bring their animals. So you're welcome to just like come and sit in this park and watch a movie and have some great food. And they have, different things for the pets. And it's like you can really make a fun event for your donors out of that. So
Yeah, and
I love stuff like that.
that reminds me of the there's an event that happens like 20 minutes away from my house. And they have it every year, but it's a drive-in. I think we talked about that on a past webinar, but
Yeah.
yeah, they have food trucks that come in, they sponsor, and it's really great. And and you're absolutely right. Just getting food is a connector for all people.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily just like any one type of food. I mean, I think like your ice cream and mac and cheese or chocolate, those are like your big hitters with a lot of the
Pizza.
population. Yeah.
Yes.
Pizza,
Yep.
yeah. I can't remember what month Pizza Day's in. I think it's in like March or something like
I'm
that.
not
But
sure.
yeah,
And then,
but
of
the
course, for all of us, July, if it makes you think about a hot dog and a certain movie about
yeah,
a blonde lawyer, gotta love it.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally think about that. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, the whole point is like being able to have all these like very specific days, and I think the best part too is like, of course, I didn't know all of these days. Like off the
Hmm.
top of my head, of course, I have all the information in front of me, like with the annual fundraising calendar. Like I have it open and I can look at it. And so the good news is like if you didn't know that ice cream day was in July on the 16th, well now you
Hmm.
do. And then you're like, oh, you know what? We were looking for something new or in creative or original to do in 2023 in the summer months to just get some extra revenue in. And that's something that you can do. So you can just like this is a perfect asset to have and just be like, you know what? I just need to spark some ideas.
Yeah.
So
Also, I did look it up, and this is in the guide. Pizza Day, February 9th. Mark your
February.
calendars.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Solid month. I mean, like,
um, yeah, you know. Um, but yeah, I think if you don't mind, I will reveal what my favorite
hmm
fundraising month is
yep.
now. Mine is November. So you have your summer months where things might be a little slower if you're not hosting your like spring events during that time. So you might be looking to fill some gaps. Whereas I know fall fundraising, you've got a lot going on, a lot of engagement happening, donors to engage, and a lot of fundraising to do towards the end of the year. So I chose November because I am a sucker for Giving Tuesday. I love Giving Tuesday. I have tried to incorporate a Giving Tuesday strategy with every single organization that I've worked with in the past because it's a day when donors are out there and ready to give and looking for an organization to give to. So it's worth it to put your mission out there. But to keep myself from being a broken record, November is Diabetes Month, Epilepsy Month, Family Literacy Month, Military Family Month, Movember. I love that. So get moving, even in those fall months. Native American Heritage Month, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. There's also Anti Bullying Week. Then we also have, depending on the year, we'll have Election Day on the first Tuesday. There's STEM Day on the 8th, Veterans Day on the 11th, and then you also have holidays. You have Thanksgiving. Giving Tuesday, I kind of consider that a holiday. You have Diwali, which is an amazing Indian holiday.
Mhm.
There's also World Kindness Day on the 13th. So many opportunities depending on where your mission fits and what you're doing that time of year to kick off your year-end giving, to take advantage of that season of giving, the warm fuzzies around the holidays. I'm a sucker for it. And I think nonprofits, the more you can put your mission out there and your goals out there, the fall fundraising season is really a great time of year to take advantage of all of that. So that's why November is my favorite month of the year for giving.
You have a really good point too, because like when you think of the winter months or like the cool months, fall, whatever, you think of like, yeah, I got hot cocoa or I got the coffee or of like the fall colors, those types of things. And it's almost like it's like embedded or ingrained in the human nature to be like, yeah, this is the time to feel good and warm inside, to be better and like be nicer
Yeah.
and those types of things. So I think, yeah, I mean, November is a solid one. Yeah,
hmm
very
Yeah.
solid one. And
Yeah.
not to mention, I
So,
mean,
and
it's you kind of cheated because it's got Giving Tuesday in it, though, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I will say, um, some years, depending on the way Thanksgiving falls and the calendars go, some years Giving Tuesday does fall at the very beginning of December and it knocks it out of November. But
Hmm.
I think I don't know. One of the years coming up, it's going to be on December 1st and December 2nd, like 2 years in a row before probably with leap years, it goes back to November. But just something to keep in mind. It's sometimes the very beginning of December, but November, I'm biased. Um, Plus, I think, like you said, like it's a time of year where you're feeling warm and fuzzy and happy inside. You're feeling like giving, you're spending time with your family, or looking for great causes to support, or looking for fundraisers to support, like Angel Trees or Toys for Tots, or locally we have like our food
Yeah.
banks. We have like Fill the Bus, where they ask, people from the community to buy cans and boxes of food and literally fill a school bus that they can then donate to the community surrounding us. So there's all of these excellent, fundraisers going on that in your community you can contribute to as well as online. So I think that's really amazing too, is that there's kind of like that double-edged giving opportunity in person in your community with those local organizations. Online there are plenty of other organizations looking for support, and as long as you put your mission out there, you would be surprised. We had someone when I worked at an organization on Giving Tuesday. Again, I'm a broken record, but I love Giving Tuesday. Who we were just putting our mission out there as much as we could, posting on social media, talking to our sponsors and our partners, and getting them to share, um, our marketing that day. Even if they just share a social media post to however many followers they have, that's more visibility and awareness than we could ever ask for. So we had someone donate and reach out to us personally after she donated and said, a friend of mine, their son benefited from your mission. And I saw that they had shared your post and that you were participating in Giving Tuesday. So I'm really glad that my money today got to go to you. And I know someone who has benefited from your organization. And that makes me really happy to know where my money is going, to know the types of people that you are helping. And I just remember, like, that made me warm and fuzzy, because that's what you want to hear, right? Is that your mission is making it out into the community and the people that are supporting you are very excited and happy to do so. They have money to give. So get out there, fall fundraising. I can't say it enough. I really can't. So,
Well, I'm not backing
yeah.
down from mac and cheese day.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, in this calendar asset, I mean, if I was still working with a nonprofit, this would be something that I would download and have pinned on my wall next to my calendar year round, to just be aware of what's going on and what's coming up and what other nonprofits might be celebrating. How can we partner with others? How can we collaborate with others? What are some other ideas we can do for short fundraisers? Or even if you're not looking for more fundraisers to add to your calendar, what can you do to steward your relationships? How can you use some of these ideas, these days, these awareness weeks to thank your sponsors, your donors, your partners, your board members, committee members, even your staff members, your volunteers, whoever is involved in your organization? Think about thanking them, taking an opportunity to have like a lunch that they can come and have lunch with your organization as a thank you for everything that they do for you, or some sort of acknowledgement or something like that. So there's a lot of ideas and many things that you can do with all of the 365 days of a year.
Yeah, and to add one more thing to that is it's sometimes overwhelming, and I get that. We actually all get that at GiveSmart is like,
Yes.
especially if you're a smaller nonprofit or even your larger ones, or if you feel overwhelmed, or if you have that. The point of the annual fundraising calendar is to spark the idea board. It's just to help you brainstorm. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed when you have this asset in your hands. Is just look through it. Use it as a guide to help you just spark ideas, and use it loosely. Like, take it with a grain of salt. And you don't have to follow it. It's only here to help you make things fun and not feel like you're by yourself or planning alone. So, a good idea, especially with this, is like, choose your favorite month. If you have a favorite time of year that you're like, what, like, this is the best way to. We've had great success in the summer. Well, if you're getting burned out on like summer fundraising, or if outdoor events or something like that, then go back and see like what kind of days fall within the summer months. Like sort of like the mac and cheese day or ice cream day. Like, how can you make it more fun? Or if you like the fall fundraising season better, or the early years, your January through March, your spring. So just pick a month, or if you want to pick a season. And I think that's the way. If you approach it like that, you won't feel so overwhelmed with like all the ideas that are in there and all the different days. It's just take advantage of one. Just do something, and that's the most important thing, is just trying something new. And if it doesn't work, then you go on to the next thing.
Absolutely. Be inspired. That's the biggest thing that we can hope to portray to anyone listening to this, is just to be inspired with your fundraising. I think the more passion you put into your fundraising, the more passion your donors will feel for your mission. So it can feel repetitive, it can feel daunting and stressful and overwhelming. I've been there. We know. And that's the other thing too. We're always here to help. That's part of why we started this podcast. That's why we do what we do, is to help organizations like you with your year-round fundraising initiatives, with managing your donors, with managing your events, anything, however we can help. That's what we're here for. So
that's right. Yeah. And then, speaking of, which is a perfect transition into, we kind of want to give you what we think are some pretty decent, in our minds. And I'm going to preface that, like, disclaimer. This is the way that we would do it. But just some like tips and tricks of like of planning for your favorite months, maybe. Like, obviously we're just going to expand on kind of what we just went over, but just a great way to approach it. Some good ideas. Like, Madison's got some really great experience at nonprofits, as she stated. And so I think having some proven tips and tricks of planning your months out, or your total year, if that's the way that you like to plan. Definitely want to kind of pick your brain, Madison, on that one, and I'll chime in if it seems like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you for opening the floor for me for that. And I think, as we said, tips and tricks come and go for organizations of different sizes. Missions are different. Your scopes of your events are different, and things like that. So we're here to help however we can. So some of these might be relevant to you, some might not be, but we're going to throw them out there and just see how we can help. And so I will say some tips and tricks. We know from surveys and internal data that we've done that organizations tend to sell tickets on average. The most sell tickets 31 to 60 days ahead. That's about 35%, and about 31% sell tickets 60 to 90 days ahead. So that like 30 to 60 to 90 window, when you're doing your planning, whether it's in person, hybrid, virtual, whatever your tickets look like, or your invitations, or, whatever that's going to look like, think about that window and how you're going to plan around that. What do you need to get printed? What do you need to send it out? Are you doing it virtually? Are you doing it through snail mail? Whatever that looks like to you. That's a really great tip that we have. And then also, I think something that we are really, really encouraging, from feedback that we've heard from organizations over the past couple of years, looking toward a new year, is hybrid events. We can't say enough about keeping virtual components, because we know it's easy to return to certain paper and pen aspects of your events, like bid sheets or selling tickets, selling raffle tickets, and things like that. We have seen statistically that more money is raised selling tickets virtually rather than in person. And we also know that if you keep your audience open for your events and you plan to incorporate your virtual offsite, maybe non-local, or even if they are local and they're hesitant to attend in person. If you keep those donors in mind and for an event, you find a way to keep them engaged and to incorporate them if they can't attend your event, like even hosting an aspect of your silent auction online only, or incorporating them into some sort of like trivia or bingo or a virtual only raffle opportunity. Or, and we know raffles can vary state by state, but we say that again as inspiration, as ideas. Keep hybrid as much as you can. Keep those doors open to the donors that you have, and especially the ones that you've built over the past few years when things had to be online and we had no choice. So those are some tips and tricks. I don't know, Richard, if you have anything else to add as far as planning. Another thing I will say too is really analyze your contracts, because so many things have changed and there are so many different aspects to events to reconsider as we return to in person, because I know more and more we are going back in person, which yay, we have all wanted it for so long to be able to gather again and celebrate our missions together again. But really analyze those contracts, analyze what you need, what you don't need, what's new that you need to add in, what's old that you can maybe trim the fat off of some of those contracts and try something different. I know that a lot of organizations have sort of been reassessing what they're doing, how they're doing it in their planning, and trying not to go exactly back to the way that things were before, because so many things have changed. So those are just
Yeah.
a few takeaways I have.
Yeah, I think so. To your point of like reassessing your contracts that you have open and what you're paying for. It's kind of like that weird light that you leave on at your house when you go on vacation. And you're like, why is my power bill like
Yeah,
$1,000? And you're like, oh yeah, because I left that light
that like
bulb on.
light above the sink. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, I need to forever turn that off. But like it's kind of the same thing with your contracts. Like you don't want those pesky, you know, one-offs that you had,
Yeah.
during the pandemic to be like just sneaking up on you. And so like obviously, yeah, we want you to use GiveSmart because we're firm believers in GiveSmart, but at the same time, we also don't want you wasting your money. Like if you don't use GiveSmart, you just don't use GiveSmart. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like we want you to succeed. Like nonprofits are a very important part of the world,
Yeah.
um, and so making sure that you're not getting taken advantage of is I guess what I'm really getting to. So make sure you're always approaching that. And I think the data that we had was like what uh, there are orgs out there that are using between 2 and 8 different platforms, and 60% of those platforms do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't communicate, they don't tie together. You're just throwing money at stuff because you
Yeah.
feel like you need it or somebody told you that you needed it or whatever. I mean, whatever it may be, go back and look and hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
you can get those resolved if you don't need them. But yeah, I mean, Matt, I think those are all really super great points. I mean, I don't have a ton outside of just approaching a new year of just like ramping up your engagement to your existing donor base is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with whether it's just your standard audience that you market to or your donor base for a nonprofit. It all stands the same as like you have to constantly refresh your audience list, and so you want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they understand that you're still here, you're still thriving, and because of like this is if I were talking to my audience or my donor base is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, we still need you. We still want you to be part of our mission, our movement. We still want you to be here. And so how can you
Mm-hmm.
best do that is like, you don't necessarily like flip it like you would in like a grocery store where it's like you take the best stuff from the back and you front it on the shelf. It's like you want the ones that have been there the longest to know that you respect them, that you are happy
Mm-hmm.
that they're still with you, those types of things. And so like if you have the bandwidth to do it, of course, like handwritten notes, those types of things, just coming into a new year and re-engaging with your long-standing donors
Yeah.
first, I think personally is one of the best ways that you can get them back on the boat to make sure they're still in your boat, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not jumping ship to go somewhere else, or like they're going to stop supporting your mission, because people change, their ideals
Mm-hmm.
change, actions and everything. But if they're still on board after years, or even after 6 months, or however long, once you're starting that new year, just make sure that they're still on the same page. You guys are still on the same page, and they're happy and you're happy. And how can you keep them? How can you let them know that every step of the way you've enjoyed their company? And
Right.
so, segmenting your donor lists, figuring out what they love the most, what they hate, what they engage with, what they don't.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's a big thing. That's really, I think, in any approach, whether it's for profit or nonprofit, that's the best thing you can do is meeting your donors where they want to be met, and not expecting
Yeah.
them to meet you.
Mm-hmm. And a couple of things to add to that, because I mean that's huge right there, is segmenting those audiences and those donors that you have. And we know from feedback from GiveSmart partners and customers and just our own experiences that you spend so much more money trying to acquire a new donor than
Yeah.
you do retaining a donor that you already have. And we also know that retained donors tend to give more the longer that they are retained with your organization. So that's huge, is just to have that insight and to nurture those relationships as much as you can. And some trends that we're seeing going into the new year, especially, is making sure your donor experience is like up to par with what you want it to be. You want it to be fast. You want it to be easy. You don't want them to struggle to log in or to connect to a system or do something like that. So the easier that you can make it during the check-in or check-in, checkout process, during the user experience, whatever you can do to make that experience better, like whether that's adding alternative payments, like a digital wallet, a platform that can do Google Pay, Apple Pay, and things like that, or using features like text messaging, um, and things like that make it easier to get in contact with your donors, that are engaging. Text messages have the highest open rate of any communication method, and they are very effective during your events. So keep that in mind as you go into the new year and planning your events. So, like he said, if you can meet your donors where they want to be met, where they are, what their preferences are, you will just be more engaged with them. You'll have more insight into their needs and their wants, what will keep them engaged, what will keep them giving, and it'll just bring you more success for your events as you plan.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, yeah, I think just overall, just make sure that, keep in mind that, I think this is my last point. Uh, Keep in mind that, like, when you're trying new things, it's not always going to work out, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, don't be afraid to do new things, and don't be afraid to try new things. It's all about, if if the name of the game is to get more donors, then yes, you need to be trying something new all the time. You need to be able to meet, uh, especially with, like, millennials are becoming the most, the biggest donor base, outside of the boomers. So, like, now, people our age are giving the most, and outside of corporate donations, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
individual donors, that is. So, you got to figure out what they like. You got to figure out what Gen Z likes. It takes time. It's all going to take
Yeah.
time. And so, if it doesn't work the second day that you've implemented something, it's okay. Just keep trying. Um, give yourself a timeline. If you meet that timeline and you're like, you know what, it just didn't work, that's okay. Just try something new.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really what, I've seen a lot of messages of, like, we tried this and it didn't work, or we did this and it just didn't stick, or we tried a new event or new theme or anything like that. And it's like, that's okay. I know everybody's, like, stressed for time, and, like, when you're in a nonprofit position, you're already stretched, like, super thin. You're like Play-Doh, and you can see through the Play-Doh. Um, but at the same time, it's like, there are a lot of people that do understand that, and, like, your very loyal donor base understands that.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna be mad at you for trying something new.
Yeah.
But
And I'll play devil's advocate a little bit and say that we've also seen organizations try something new and their donors absolutely loved it. And
Yeah,
now it has become part of their annual fundraising strategy. So it can
that's
really
right.
go both ways, and it's worth trying because you just never know. The turnout may not be exactly what you planned. You might be like, we could adjust this in the future. Maybe we won't do this again. Maybe we'll try it this way. We'll market it this way. We'll switch up our strategy. And other times you're going to have donors be like, "Oh my god, that was amazing. Let's do that again. Like round 2 next year. Let's do it."
That's right.
And it's worth trying it. It's worth that feedback, and it's worth showing your donors that you're learning and growing with them. So,
Yeah, that's a big point. Yeah, you're willing to grow and learn, and I think that's super duper important.
mhm,
Um, yeah, all great points.
yeah.
Um, well, that's good. Yeah, so like let's do a quick recap of the most important things that which we talked about a ton on the first episode, which is great. But quick recap. Let's do a top three. So top one, number one would be Madison. What do you think?
Ooh, my number one would be to get creative, try new
Mhm.
things.
All right. Number two for me, it would be get your hands on the annual fundraising calendar. It
Yeah.
will be in the notes. You will see it or
Mhm.
the description, no, depending on where you're listening. Yes, it will be there. So make sure you get your hands on that. And number three, what do you think?
Growing with your donors.
Bam.
So, no matter what that looks like, events, communication, marketing, stewardship, retaining them, whatever that looks like, grow with your donors.
I like it. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm happy with it.
Yay.
Um, well, yeah, I think that's going to do it for us today. Madison, unless you have anything else that you'd like to add. Um,
No.
But if not, you guys know where to find us, givesmart.com. Anything that you need, it will be there. So all your ideas, tools, and assets and infographics and all that kind of stuff, make sure you get your hands on all that stuff. That does it for us today. We really appreciate you guys coming and listening and hanging out with us. Yeah, I guess we'll see you on the next side.
Yeah. And check the show notes for that annual calendar link.
That's right.